Welcome back to another episode of Believe in the Broncos on the Believe Network, sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook, your home for everything sports betting. I am Patrick Chiotti. That is Bri Maestas. We are the hosts of this program, and the Denver Broncos, Bri. The Denver Broncos are now 7-2, sitting atop the AFC West after a massive last-second win against the Houston Texans in Houston. They now have a 6-game winning streak. Bri, how are you feeling after yesterday's cardiac arrest game?
I definitely think that we should be reimbursed for any heart medication that we'll need in the future, given all of these very close games. I don't think I was going to be up for a walk-off field goal if it were the other team, but thankfully the Broncos got it done. A 6-game win streak is exactly what we needed. This is the game that I was worried about, Pat. I think it was the one we were all kind of wondering which way it would go, and it was exactly as we painted it on the last show. So if you listened in, it was a true gritty battle there up front. And the Broncos got it done. So I'm happy. A 6-game win streak really sounds good at this point in the season.
Yeah, heading into this next pair of games before the bye week at 7-2, riding this win streak makes you feel really good, especially with them heading into the bye, a little chance to reset themselves. But Bri, this game was not pretty by any means. It was definitely as billed by both this program and many others. I heard Howie Long on the Fox pregame show or whatever it was say that he was going with the upset and he was picking the Broncos to win. I said upset. Interesting. This was a massive game with I feel like this was massive implications. I saw some graphic that said if the Texans lost this game, their chances for making the playoffs or their chances for not making the playoffs went to like 90%. So massive game for AFC playoff contention, massive game for the Broncos as they continue to widen that gap in the division. Just have to keep all eyes on the future and all eyes ahead. Bri, let's start this show off with the defense. Broncos came into this game, the line had shifted. Originally on FanDuel, it showed the Broncos as 1.5-point favorites. And then before the game, the line had shifted to 2.5-point underdogs for the Broncos. And the defense, missing Pat Surtain, was a massive part of that, I feel like. Only suiting up 4 cornerbacks was a choice. It certainly was. But you have some flexibility there, honestly. This Broncos defense came out to play. And CJ Stroud looked really good early. They had a couple of really strong goal line stands. What did you make of this defense? And does it give you hope heading into the next couple of games, one of them being the Kansas City Chiefs?
Well, we're really starting to see the Broncos paint their identity out there. We've talked about what we needed to see in the offseason as far as choosing which direction you were going to go with that. And I think this resilient defense is exactly what we're going to be calling it for the rest of the season. Because if the offense sputters, this is what they're going to have to do. They hold teams to field goals rather than touchdowns, and that bend don't break mantra. And then multiple trips inside the 20, it really allowed 0 Texans TDs from that red zone. And I think what's important there is what you said, the goal line stands and the individuals responsible for that. Having Dre Greenlaw back in the mix really shows that toughness that you're going to see in that short yardage, trying to stuff conversions and then forcing those field goals. It was a huge reason that the Broncos were successful on Sunday. And, even if it was against an offense that really certainly hasn't figured it out yet, Denver's defense is painting the picture of they are in that conversation for the top defense in the league. And I know they were going up against the other kind of reigning champs in that entry, but I do think the Broncos really showed what they have. There was a ton of standouts, and I'm sure we'll get into the grittiness of it all. But at the end of the day, it's not necessarily that you have to have this most balanced, three phases of football. At the end of the day, it's just about stacking those wins in the column. On a 6-game win streak, heading up against a division rival in the Raiders, like, you are in this prime opportunity to prove that you need to be there. So top of the AFC West absolutely is where we want to be, but also top of the AFC, you're tied. You're in a 3-way tie with the other teams that exist there. And that is part and parcel because this defense is so good.
Yeah, now they find themselves in a very, very strong position. As long as you can keep just stacking these wins together, those playoff seedings are going to matter every single week as we head towards that final stretch of the season. You mentioned Drake Greenlaw, Bri, but man, the one that stood out to me in this game, and it's one that you've been talking about this whole season, and it's one that I feel like Broncos fans should be talking about. I mentioned it in our group chat yesterday. I think this guy should be in heavy consideration for comeback player of the year. Talanoa Hufanga, my goodness, flying around. It seems like every episode we talk about Hufanga. It seems like every single one. The Troy Polamalu, comparisons are hilarious, but like you kind of see it really like when you watch the games and then you're watching film, you just see his instincts pop up. I mean, in the run game, his run fits are fantastic. He does a really good job of not getting washed down. He covers a big area of the field. I mean, he's always, when the ball's in the air, you feel like he's always going to at least be making a play on it. Please, can we get a Hufanga interception in the next couple of weeks?
It's so close.
We're so close. We're so close. Yesterday, I thought it was going to happen yesterday.
I thought it was too. And the fact that it doesn't, it's like these split second instinctual, it's just out of the angle of where his body's going. And can we comment on how special it is, right? Vance Joseph was handed like this, just I don't even know what to equate it to. It wasn't just a cherry on top of the defense. It was like, here is a slice of pie that has been curated just for you, and now you get to do whatever you want with it, which lends itself to what Hufanga is asked to do, which is be himself, right? Which is why you see him across the field at every angle, running downhill, and then being a part of these giant plays where the momentum has to swing. And we have been talking about all season. What I love is that it's building to this precipice of seeing the ultimate version of Talanoa Hufanga. Not only is he a fantastic role model off the field, like I think if you just catch the very small snippet that we do in these highlights of him just being a standout dude, and then couple it with what you're seeing on the field, why are you not talking about him every single game? Get a 9 jersey right now, stop dragging your feet on it, and let's roll with it. Because if you've been listening, this is no surprise to you.
Okay, Bri, I'll do it. I'll order one right now. Okay. No, he made a massive impact in this game. And with Pat being out, especially over the next, 2 games, he's going to have to be not just the leader on the field, but a leader off the field. And I think that's a massive reason why he was such a big signing for them. Brandon Jones had himself a pretty good game as well. He did get that penalty on Nico Collins, which was rough. Feel how you want to feel about it. But Bri, this defense was making just as much noise as the Texans defense was yesterday. They did knock out CJ Stroud from this game. I've seen so many pundits. I've seen so many conversations about it online. And here's the deal. When you are a quarterback and you are running outside of the pocket, past the line of scrimmage, you are a runner. And that comes with risks, and it also comes with consequences. And CJ Stroud made a decision that probably in the long run hurt him and the Texans yesterday. And it sucks. It sucks to see guys get taken out of games. But calling this a dirty hit, saying that, Sean Payton strikes again, bounty gate, that's I don't like that at all, because Chris Abrams, what is a defender supposed to do in that moment?
That is egregious, because across the league, we actually see some circumstantial evidence where you can see the tackling ability of some of these defenders. Looks like they're really aiming for legs and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But that aside, you cannot fault KD for what was an incredibly well-adjusted tackle that prevented further injury. And so I think that it's all well and good. I know that a lot of Texans fans were upset. The pundits can say what they want, but at the end of the day, being able to course correct and not viciously injure Stroud, who was a runner in that. But I think I love the appropriateness in which Kareem Jackson was there on the sideline. Like, let's just call it what it is.
Yeah, imagine. But like a clean hit, they picked the flag up, which I think was the right call. Unfortunate for CJ. Got to tuck your head there, man. Tuck your chin, please. Save your head. That cannot be. Like, the turf is the one that took him out. It wasn't KD. It wasn't Alex Singleton. He was going to get hit either way. Slide before. I understand it was a crucial down. You know, he slid early, and that forced them into I think it was a 4th and short situation. But tuck your chin, save your head. You know, he ate the hit, which is fantastic. But like the comments from D'Amico Ryans after the game, I didn't agree with it, especially after last year when one of your players definitely did hit Trevor Lawrence in the head as he was sliding. And then for you to say, well, quarterback's got to be aware. Like, let's have some shame, D'Amico Ryans. Let's have some shame. Bri, the Broncos defense, 4 sacks on the day, 3 held the Texans offense to 3 for 17 on 3rd down, held Houston offense under 100 yards rushing, which was one of our keys to the game. This was a great showing by the Broncos defense. Where do they go from here?
You have to keep it rolling, and the next stop is a turnover and capitalizing on it. Like if you add that part to your already deadly defense, you're talking about championships. This team is right there. And I think maybe 3 weeks ago I threw it out as just a subjective, this may be one of the defenses that we tout after, but without a Super Bowl ring, you don't get the analogs of history, and you don't get the Ring of Fame, Hall of Fame designations, right? But there are individuals on this team that if they do go far into the playoffs, and let's ultimately say you're sitting at 7-2, how can you not think about a Super Bowl ring? This defense is going to go down as one of the best. Now, have they fully matured into the likes of comparing them to a DeMarcus Ware and a TJ? Like, let's not get crazy, but I still think it's important to point to how imperative that unit has been to the success that we see in this team. Now, a lot of things have to change from here and now. We know special teams in the offense have their weird miscues at just the most supreme time. Can you imagine if this team was clicking like 2013 Broncos? They're just watch out. But at the end of the day, I think it just has to keep showing up the way that you are. Vance Joseph has to continue to rely on the veteran mindset that exists on that roster, and also allow some of those younger guys to really spread their wings, and then don't deviate too far from what you're already doing. The worst thing this defense could do is try to change something up where it doesn't need to be altered, really. And I think that even includes the middle of the field, because I think a lot of this can be designed where you are trusting what you have in that secondary to continue to be really strong in that avenue. So I'd like to get into a deeper conversation of that when the time is right, but we have to see how a lot of these divisional matchups end up going. Like, if the defense somehow plays down against a Raiders team and a Geno Smith, then you've got the issues. Like, that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about not picking off Smith and not using that as the opportunity to really turn things around in your favor, because momentum is going to carry you through these next couple of matchups that include a Kansas City team that seems to be getting hot. And the last thing that they need to do is let up on the gas there. But at the end of the day, there is a limit. There is like a threshold of how powerful they can be with controlling the game and controlling the ultimate goal, which is winning. It would be like what you saw, unfortunately, from the Bengals, where they just don't have the ability to change the recourse from there. Like, the offense can do well and the defense can do nothing, and you're just absolutely left on an island. And we're not seeing that with this team. So they can't take a rep off, which is going to be an exhausting 2025, but hopefully the offense comes along to where it finally clicks. And that is the up and downness that you're going to see with this offense, what it's presently handicapped at. And I think that can only get better as time goes on. I just don't want to see it turn on. And I know you said the defense, but at the end of the day, they really have to just hold their standard while the offense continues to get better.
Yeah. Some numbers from yesterday with Pat Surtain out. The cornerbacks, Jaquan McMillan, Riley Moss, Chris Abrams drained, targeted 19 times between the three of them. Let me just quickly do that. 19 targets, 14 receptions allowed, but not a ton of yards, not a ton of yak allowed. So good performance, good solid performance. I mean, we knew this was going to be the case. We knew those guys were going to get targeted, especially with Pat out. I mean, Riley Moss is the most targeted player in the NFL, so that doesn't change. But still had a fairly good day. No touchdowns allowed. 2 forced incompletions among the three of them. 1 PBU. So overall, good day by the Pat Surtain-less secondary for the Denver Broncos. Bri, let's switch gears and go to the offense. Boy, this was not a pretty performance by the Broncos offense. Lots of head scratching from my side. Sean Payton and I need to have a conversation about what the hell the game plan is going into these games, especially that one. It just felt like you're trying to force too much. It felt like you were trying to force too much. We talked about this on the last episode, getting J.K. Dobbins rolling with this run game. And they did early. They got him going and they were ripping off chunks. The first run, I think, was like a 5 or 6 yard gain. I said, oh, just feed him. Just give him the ball. Just run the damn ball until they really stop it. And they ran it a few times, and then you just went pass happy. You went pass happy and you went screen happy. And I understand that, yeah, you want to get it going. But J.K. Dobbins, up until it was 5 minutes left in the third quarter, had 8 carries. What are we doing? Why was that our decision to make, especially in a close game where this team is not scoring field goals? They're not scoring touchdowns. They're only scoring field goals. Run the ball, control the line of scrimmage, and get those, tire out that defense. You weren't tiring them out. They stayed fresh. You were still trying to take shots on them, and they were just reading everything that you were doing. I didn't understand it. Dobbins finishes with only 15 rushing attempts. Knicks had 37 passing attempts in this game, Bri. What do you make of this?
I mean, at the end of the day, the whole key of the game and the reason we were taking that, that projection on it was that you need to take the pressure off of Bo Nix. And instead, it's like you designed the inconsistency and the slow start to see if you could get it done. When I talked about identity, firstly, in a positive note for the defense, the offense is now assembling an identity that they are a slow start fourth quarter juggernaut, that it's not going to bode well in some of these much tougher games. Thankfully, the Texans offense wasn't able to get anything done, but the Texans defense was able to push a lot of pressure Bo Nix's way. And I think that probably is going to account for why maybe the screen game just had to be there. You had to afford the opportunity to get some yardage, but unfortunately it's one-dimensional and it's not sustainable. It's like you survived the Texans defense, and I'm hoping that a less stringent opponent like the Raiders or possibly even heading against the Commanders is going to see some difference in play sequencing and adjustments. But I was down a little bit on it. I almost wanted to see something else, but at the end of the day, if your clutch late execution is what you're going to get, and it's going to win you games in the fourth quarter, and you're going to continue to have this resilient come from behind win, all right. If you're converting 4 out of 5 2-point conversions, that's a pretty good range. It tells me that you have the ability to overcome the adversity, that you are playing towards your strengths. But What I love from this Denver Broncos offense is that when it comes down to being pressed under the pressure of how the NFL operates and how games can really truly be about momentum, they almost seize it in a way that gives me hope. I think that you get the highlight reels and all that fun stuff. You get the 7-minute montages of these miraculous comebacks against teams like the Giants. But at the end of the day, their ability to really pull together in the last 2.5 minutes of a game, I need to see more of that throughout the rest of their, whether it's the scripted way you come out of the games, or if it's the way that you end the halves. It has to start sooner. And what I would hope is that they go back to what was working, and that is that run game. And I know the Texans defense was making that a little bit more difficult, but you can't tell me, honestly, that giving it a go so that something could break loose could happen, because J.K. Dobbins we saw it in the fourth quarter. He is fully capable of making that happen. And now RJ Harvey is coming along as well. So I'm hoping that it just was the matchup that led them to kind of go astray. But that just seems weird to me because it was working. It's almost like you wanted to prove that you could do it a different way. And to me, that's a little bit of coaching.
Yeah. Looking at the drives, J.K. Dobbins' first 3 carries, he had 24 yards. This was a defense that was averaging 3.9 yards per play in the run game, lowest in the league, mind you. And his first 3 carries went for 24 yards. And then you didn't give it back to him. You gave it back to him the next drive, no gain. And then you just went pass. Like it's just pass. Get back to what works, figure it out, and get back to what works. Houston's defense is the real deal. They're very good. They played very sound defense. They were also very good in up front, but they were just sniffing out the screen game. It wasn't working. When a team does not consistently stack the box and they just play straight up 4-man front football, and they're able to sniff out your screen game, stop calling screens. It's not going to work. Okay. It's just not. You got to get a middle screen, or you got to do something else. But the boundary stuff with the running back, trying to hit slip screens, it doesn't work.
Okay, sweep it then, because we saw the misdirection when Bo Nix was able to lead everybody to one side of the field and then break out for a 25-yard run. I love to see that, but please stop airing it out. Pat, how many of those passing plays were like 30-yard bombs where it was just like, oh, I love where you're going with that, but it is not the time right now. And maybe it isn't, because if it works, then we're not talking about it as being crazy, but it's not working.
Yeah. This team played the most cover 4 in the league, Bri. I didn't see a single Mills concept. I didn't see a single dagger concept. I didn't see any of that. You gotta beat them over the top with it, and they didn't even try to do that. It's just sprint out. Oh, well, let's try and throw this post cross body. What are we doing? That's not going to beat this defense. Bri, last thing on the offense. RJ Harvey had a massive touchdown in this game. Only ran the ball 2 times, 5 yards. Not very exciting there, but he did most of his damage in the pass game. The touchdown towards the end of the game was huge. So my question is, did RJ Harvey fall into the vat of acid? Is he morphing into the Joker? Is he getting is he getting his scars? Is Sean Payton giving him his scars to turn into the Joker for this offense?
I love the analogy. Are we going with like a Heath Ledger Joker, or is it
it's kind of it's a combination. I combined the Jack Nicholson falling into the vat of acid with the getting the scars for the Dark Knight. So thank you.
I love it. I thought we had thrown the Joker concept into the vat of acid, but we're back. And I think that this is an appropriate time to do so, because RJ Harvey is now, I believe it's 3 touchdowns in as many games. And that's looking like what you have to do is start feeding that hot hand. And so if you're going to use him in these concepts where you like his ability to be a pass catcher in the red zone, I love it, because it affords him what he's doing well and doing at a high clip. What I want to see is more. And I think that it's going to be hard, right? Because I love what J.K. Dobbins is and where he's best suited for. But RJ Harvey, outside of the moniker alone, is building what he is going to be known for on this Denver Broncos roster. So we're seeing the identity shape. So yeah, if we were talking about comic book levels of where we're at in the we're in the first verse. We're in that first issue of what RJ Harvey is becoming. And I'm really excited to see it because you need those sparks. And the sparks change throughout the season because NFL and football in general is a game of momentum. And RJ Harvey doing what it is now is not only exciting, but it is leading to the next iteration of where this run game can go. And that's adding in additional pieces. So, seeing more from Tyler Bidet wasn't fantastic in receiving, but then you also have the ability to maybe move Marvin Mims around when he's back from that concussion protocol and see really what your game can do. Because as long as teams can't figure out what you're going to be leaning into, right now it's a J.K. Dobbins heavy lead run game. And I think that if they can switch it up a little bit and they can add some versatility in there, then it becomes exciting. And then your offense really opens up, because I know that's the whole conversation. Well, how would you like them to take the pressure off Nix if all the pressure is on Nix while they're also trying to figure out where the pressure can go outside of him? And that's just where this offense is right now. So getting RJ Harvey that type of rep and that type of you get the touchdowns out of it too is just a match made in heaven. And I would like to know how he got those scars.
5 total touchdowns in the last 3 games, 3 receiving touchdowns in the last 3 games. Bri, you were absolutely on point. His yards per touch it's continuing to go up. And I can't remember who it was, but somebody had compared him to Darren Sproles yesterday, saying, he's our Sproles. And I think that's a very solid comparison there. Now, whether he is your Darren Sproles or he's your Reggie Bush or he, whatever iteration of a Sean Payton running back room that you want to use for this analogy, J.K. Dobbins is your Mark Ingram. RJ Harvey will be your Darren Sproles. Now they have to find that third piece. I don't think it's Bidet. I don't think it's McLaughlin. Who's going to be that Kamara? Who's going to be that who is going to be that Reggie Bush, that really solid blend of running and receiving threat? Who is that guy going to be? I don't know. The trade deadline is coming up tomorrow. Could we see some movement? Could Sean Payton try to get Alvin Kamara from the Saints? I doubt it would happen. He said he's going to retire. But I also don't buy that. If he was going to go anywhere, he'd probably love to go back with Sean Payton. But I wouldn't hate to see the Broncos maybe kick the tires on a couple of veteran running backs just to see what they can do. Bri, this offense has to get better going forward. I think this next game is going to be a bigger test. We'll talk about, the line and everything, but you're going into this game clear favorites. This is not a game where defense can relax and the offense can just be like, oh yeah, it's the Raiders. Bri, last thing, special teams yesterday was absolutely abysmal. Outside of a rookie punter, Jeremy Crawshaw. He himself had a little flub. That's okay. We'll forgive that because this man kicked an 80-yard punt, and there were some of you who wanted to cut this man before the season because he had 6 bad kicks in the preseason. Oh no. Bri, yesterday he averaged a true punt average. So for those who don't know, this is a made-up stat from me, probably exists somewhere, but true punt is the calculation of where the punter actually kicks the ball, not the line of scrimmage, but where the punter actually kicks the ball to where it lands, and then you subtract return yards and penalty yards. That is true punt. Trademark. Averaged 51 yards of true punt yesterday. Air yards, an average of 63.1 and a hang time of 4.62. This kid can absolutely ball. His longest punt of the day in air yards was 80 yards. 80 yards. Sean Payton talked about, fixing stuff in the kicking game after the game in his press conference. And while I agree with what he was saying, I don't think that is necessarily a comment on Crawshaw. I think that is more a comment on the coverage team because the coverage team did allow 15.5 yards per return. Not ideal when it comes down to it. But special teams, Bri, I mean, the issues keep compiling. You had a muffed punt. That's where Marvin Mims, being out really affected us. The muffed punt by your boy Bandy. Coverage unit blew a really good day from Crawshaw. The field goal unit, Crawshaw flubbed the catch on the snap, couldn't get it down. And then you had Danico Autry coming through and blocking that kick, which he has like 14 block kicks in his career. That's insane. But I wanted to talk about this one, Bri, because I saw a lot of Broncos fan, and I sent out a tweet on Thursday saying, can we please stop talking about the leverage penalty? I always see people talk about, we're just a BS leverage penalty away from being blah, blah, blah. First of all, it was leverage. It was not a BS call. However you want to feel about it is however you want to feel about it. But by definition of the rule, it was leverage. It cost them the game. That is a coaching mistake. They literally said after the game that they practiced that. You didn't confirm with the officials that was okay for you to do. That sounds like a coaching issue. As for yesterday, the blocked field goal, I saw so many people crying on the timeline. Leverage, leverage, leverage. It was not leverage. For it to be leverage, a player must use a player to jump over, or another player holds a player down and they jump over or jump through a gap in order to block a kick. Danico Autry could have just waltzed through the gap. The correct call should have been defensive holding. I have never seen such an egregious non-call in my life. Of all the times I have been coaching special teams, that was absolutely egregious. At the snap, whoever it was, 96, I think it was, grabs Quinn Miners and pulls him down and holds him in the middle of his back, laying on top of him. That is holding, NFL officiating. You cannot do that. Then Danico Autry just quite literally sombers his way through the gap and blocks it. If the timing was a teeny bit better, I think Autry still blocks it. But it was still a bad catch and a bad hold, which resulted in the blocked kick. It's not leverage. Can we stop crying about the leverage call? Can we just stop? Read the rule. Watch the video that is on the NFL rules website, and you'll see what it is. It's not leverage. There's a correct way to call it and an incorrect way to call it. It should have been defensive holding. That's where I'm going to leave it. But all in all, Bri, the special teams unit has to get better. I don't know what has to be done. This comes 48 hours after Sean Payton called Darren Rizzi, or said Darren Rizzi was doing a fantastic job, and no notes, no comments, whatever. And then 24 hours later says, well, we got to figure out the kicking game, or we got to find someone else to do it. What?
Right, but I don't know Sean Payton's comments were necessarily directed at Rizzi. I think some of it was actually towards the roster, which I'm going to balk a little bit at, because I think at the end of the day, you brought Darren Rizzi in, and I know what he's done in the past as a special teams coordinator. I'm not trying to diminish that whatsoever, but at the end of the day, you do have to look at it from both an execution and a coordinator position. And so I think Sean Payton should be pointing a few more fingers. Like, you brought this guy specifically in, and this unit looks worse than they did last season. That has to be rectified, especially when your offense isn't able to put in the 33.3% that they need to do in order to have this balanced game. Like, if it's not paying dividends, you're shortchanging your defense and you're shortchanging your offense, because field position matters. Crawshaw's doing what he needs to do. But a muff punt isn't great. And I'm not going to look at Bandy and say that he's the reason that this entire unit looks a little bit out of sorts. So, like, it has to be coaching at the end of the day. Like, show me where it's not. Show me where you can't implicate that, and then Darren Rizzi can stop being the scapegoat in that position. But it very well could be, we would see at the end of the day. But I wish Westhoff was still in town, because I think that it was firing all cylinders. So you gotta get through. You gotta find the guys who are making the fit, and then okay, then start perusing around for some additions to your special team, whether it's from the practice squad or elsewise. And again, you just mentioned the trade deadline. Are there any floaters around there that are going to take
Some
your
special
unit?
teams experts.
I don't think that it's a bad investment, especially because I think the Broncos like where they're presently at. That doesn't mean that they can't make a couple of key acquisitions. They're not going to be the splash play that Broncos players are going to go out to run and get a jersey for. And the first cross-shot jersey I see at Mile High is going to be one of my favorite days of the year. But it's absolutely going to be Patrick Coyotes.
It's going to be me.
But I don't think it's crazy to think that there needs to be some changes. I'm not saying fire the guy. Like, let's be real. We have to fix the inconsistencies though, because that's what's harming this team.
Yeah, definitely. Bri, that's going to do it for us. If you go over to FanDuel Sportsbook right now, you will see that the Broncos are currently 9.5 point favorites at home against the Las Vegas Raiders. We will be back later this week with our game preview episode. Thank you to our sponsors, FanDuel Sportsbook, for allowing us to share their wonderful information. Bri, that's going to do it for us. Make sure you subscribe to the show on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. Make sure that you follow Bri and I on social media at Bri Maces 303, at Patrick Coyote, and follow at Believe Network as well. And we will see you later this week for our game preview. Big couple of games coming up, Bri, before the bye. Hopefully we'll get some FanDuel fan bets in for this game. But it should be a good one. Broncos Raiders coming up, short week, but still will be a good game. Playoff football is in the view. Lincoln Cardinals going to Sandy High School to go play. I don't even know what their team name, it Pioneers, I think is what it is. But we will be there on Friday. I will be coaching my butt off in the Oregon State playoffs. So wish me luck, and we will see you next time. Go Broncos.
Go Cards.
Go Cards.